The current meta is very, very narrow. Yes, Azir Lux, Ionic Challengers. Oh, it's a Donkey Roll 7 Casino on the bullshit. 4-1, it's terrible. I hear you. You are forgetting your fundamentals. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We talked about this in the meta analysis. This last video I released. You should go watch it if you're still confused on how to, approach the game in the current meta, because everybody is suffering from this weird tunnel visioning that's going on. Like, all you hear is Ionia challenges Azir Lux, and you're not seeing other lines, not seeing other potential plays that you can do. This video, yes, it's Azir Lux. I'm aware. But you guys don't know what to do when you're contested. You don't know how to play your strongest boards. You guys are throwing away all your fundamentals trying to play this weird ass 4-1 board that you expect to hit. Why are you trying to donkey roll on 7, trying to hit a 0-2, Lux 2, Jarvan 2, Nasus 2? Stop and think about it. That's like, what? Anyways, listen. Run it back. Coming back. In today's video, we're gonna go over one approach. This is not the only approach. This is one approach that you can take. Because I know someone's gonna comment like, oh, this is the only way that you can play. Shut up. One approach that you can take in order to play Azir Lux, played by none other than Robin Songs, where in this game, he's actually 3-way contested for Azir Lux and still finds a way to play the board. This is something you guys need to work on. And in today's video, let's talk about it. Let's get on to the game. Okay, so here we go. We are inside of Robin Songs' game. And listen, I have been meaning to... Sorry, I'm going to just take this out because he's loud and sometimes I lose my train of thought. But I've been meaning to VOD review Robin for like a really, really long time. He's consistently top 1, top 2 NA, constantly fighting Dish Soap for the top ranking spots on the NA ladder. And for those of you who don't know, during the Box Streamer Bootcamp, he actually overtook Dish Soap in the final hour of the tourney and was able to actually overcome Dish Soap and take the rank 1 spot, forcing Dish Soap to take a very odd punishment where he had to do a feet cam stream, which was weird. But like, I mean, we're gamers, bro. We're stupid, I guess. Like, I don't fucking know, man. Anyways, moving on. So here we are inside of Ecliptic Vaults, where every time you grab an augment, for every augment you have, you gain 4 gold. So we know that we're going to have a lot of economy, a lot of snowballing effects when it comes to our money. So we have to keep that in mind for when we're playing in this realm. Now, you might also know that from the title that this is probably an Azir game. I don't know if I'm going to put it in the title yet or not. If this is a spoiler, I'm sorry. But I mean, I'll probably go into the title because, quite honestly, the way that Robin approaches Azir is different from 99.9% of you idiots who just don't know how to play the game anymore because you guys have lost your fundamentals. And we talked about this a lot in the previous meta-analysis, but the meta-analysis, I know it's a 40-minute video, so I understand. If you don't want to watch it, I understand. It's long. That's a commitment. That's a fucking commitment. So, like, I get it. So we'll talk about it today a little more in depth and just trying to, again, prove the point that you really don't have to be donkey rolling on 7 in this meta, even though it is, yes, very competitive, very congested for the top 2 lines being Azir Lux and Ionia Challengers. Now, here we go inside of the 2-1 augments, Buried Treasures, Perfected Repetition, What Doesn't Kill You. Very clearly, we're re-rolling middle and right side. Both of these are very, very awful. I still don't know how What Doesn't Kill You is, like, I don't know why it's an augment, to be completely honest. It seems like kind of shit. You gain, what is it, 2 gold for every loss, and then every 5 losses you gain a random component. Like, isn't this just like Buried Treasures but with less tempo? Like, it's like long term it has more value, but the long term value, you lose too much for too little. So it just doesn't really make sense. So maybe after every 4 losses, maybe that's where it gets better, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like a very good augment to me. Perfected Repetition, not gonna take it. It's really hard to force multicasters at the moment. So in a reroll, they get nerfed. So it's just not as consistent as it used to be. So definitely Buried Treasures from the spot. But I mean, it depends on what we get here. Cybernetic Bulk, tons of stats. Tons of stats is just tons of stats. It's a very good augment. I think the average is a 4.3 at the moment. It might be 4.2. I don't remember. Currently, it is a 4.3. No, sorry, it's a 4.55 actually in Masters Plus, which is kind of insane. So, definitely was an auto take augment back then, but now Buried Treasures is a 4.4. I mean, it's a Buried Treasures every time from the stats angles. Also, really quick aside, for those of you who don't know, I actually learned about this from Robin's stream, which is really interesting. Because there's no API data from Legends, all of these stats are without considering the legend being picked. So for example, right, with Buried Treasures, right, this can be, you can obviously get this with other legends, right? You can run other legends, and then you can take Buried Treasures, right? But this data, this 4.4 is only representative of people who didn't take Ezreal and still took Buried Treasures on 2-1. So quite honestly, this 4.4 for buried treasures, it's kind of fake news. This is actually kind of probably a lot higher because it is guaranteed when you get it with Ezreal. Plus just the combination of his augments as well. I believe, I don't even remember what the fucking things were called. Set 9 info, legends. But I mean, you get the idea though. Like the combination of all his stuff is just too good. Big grab bag. There you go. Thank you. Grab bag being 4.3, 4.3, 4.2. Again, this is like without the legends. Or I mean, I think yeah, I think this is without the legends as well. So like the stats are like a little lower than what they really should be. So it's kind of surprising when you see it and view it in that light. Again, this is news to me. I did not know that this was a thing. Really smart though. We did know that legends didn't have API data, but really cool that Robin was able to see that throughout the data that's provided. Really cool stuff. Really great way to use data and just read statistics. So very much appreciate that. Anyways, take buried treasures here as we always do. And if you don't know, Ezreal is just the meta. There's always just going to be a legend that's better than the others. In a perfect world, everything's balanced. Poro will always be the best. I am a serial Poro enjoyer, but I mean, how the fuck do you not take buried treasures? How do you not take Ezreal in this current meta? It's kind of just too good. Anyways, notice how he doesn't level here. He is playing Void, Slam Sunfire, so he's clearly playing for tempo, but he actually doesn't slam here, which is really, really interesting. And he doesn't because I think he looks and scouts the fights that he has, and I think he likes his odds of potentially winning out. You might also notice that I believe he actually slams Sunfire a little, he slams it a little late into the fight, I think. Or maybe not. Nope, he slams it early. Never mind. He's just gambling. The ideal scenario is that you actually don't slam Sunfire until you see the matchup, and whether or not it'll actually win you or not, you should slam it. He just raw slams it. I mean, I guess it's fine. I personally, I think it's slightly more optimal for you to just slam it right when the fight, like right before the fight starts, so you know that whether or not the slam is actually optimal or like actually useful. It's a really small min-max, but yeah. And this part of the stream, sorry, he's just explaining the whole buried treasures thing that I was just explaining to you. Again, really cool stuff. Here, levels to 4, still above 10 gold, really, really great stuff. And he actually hits the Aurelia too and then throws it into his board because for those of you who don't know, if you have an upgraded unit, this is almost always better than a synergy of some type, unless it's a really strong synergy during the early game. And just as we can see, like, would you rather play an Aurelia 2 on your board or like an Ori 1, providing like a little extra AP? Like, it's going to be the Aurelia 2 every time. So here, we're already doing a really good job of maintaining our streak here. He does have the Shiv Slam, so notice that even though he has the Warwick pair, the Samira pair, and the Aurelia 2, he just says, nope, not about it. Fake news. Not going to try to play into the challenger line, even though, yes, Shiv is a really good item for Kai'Sa. Play for now, don't play for later, which is really, really great that we're seeing that Robin is doing. So here we already have the Ginsu Shiv Slam, and I believe, did I already mention this, that this is an Azir game? I mean, Ginsu Shiv, it's always going to be Azir, right? The question is how are we going to approach it? Because that's what's important, right? Because, yes, we have Ginsu Shiv. It is BIS Azir. We know we're going to probably play into Azir. But if we scout the lobby, we'll notice that there's a lot of people in this lobby who are actually also thinking about Azir as well. I know the VOD is on 2x speed right now because there isn't much going on in the early game. We are just maintaining our streak, keeping the Aurelia 2 in our board and this Orianna 2. Like, everything's upgraded, really. So we're in a really, really, really strong spot. Again, not much to see in Stage 2, but Robin does scout the lobby multiple times, and I believe at a certain point he notices there's like 4 people thinking about playing Azir this game. So it's definitely a very congested line. So like, how do we play around this, right? And so here, 3-1, we hit the very early Kai'Sa, really, really great stuff. We're chilling. We are cruising. We moved the items over onto the Kai'Sa too. Really great stuff here. And again, it's just a free fucking game. So you might be going like, oh, well, from this spot, like who wouldn't be able to play Azir Lux? Well, again, like you might miss your units, right? And your approach may be different. And I really just want to make sure that you guys, when you're watching this game, that you really think about, okay, on his level 7, pay attention on 3-2, 3-5, 4-1. What is he doing that's different compared to your games? Because this stage 3 is very different compared to what I believe most players are doing. So here we have Big Grab Bag, Portable Forge, Unified Resistance. I believe Unified Resistance in the stats is actually just better. Unified is at a 4.3 at 3-2, and then Big Grab Bag is actually at a 4.3. So, so Unified is like, at least today, when the stats were released, Unified is like slightly better, but compared to Big Grab Bag, the Grab Bag is slightly better. I feel like I said something contradictory, but I didn't. Anyways, notice here, right? We're gonna rewind a little bit. 58 gold, 6 win streak. What do you do from this spot, right? You might have noticed it's a bit of a spoiler, but he decides to push level here. Already really good. Why is leveling here so good? He levels here because he knows for a fact that he can tech into 6 Void, get a very, very strong board all line already. And then he'll be thinking about, okay, cool. 6 Void, I don't have to roll, and I get to make 30. Really great stuff here. And again, this is only possible because of 2 reasons. 1, because of the win streak, but 2, because we're playing in Ecliptic Vaults, where we're getting a lot of that gold pumping from whenever we hit our augments. So we're sitting at level 730 gold here. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, we're playing Azir, right? Well, eventually, we're going to want to pivot out. Also, why don't we play Kai'Sa? Why don't we just play 6 Void Kai'Sa? That seems like the correct play here every time. We don't play 6 Void Kai'Sa from this spot ever. And the reason why is because Ginsu Shift Kai'Sa is a very low cap. We're in a position where we have a lot of HP and we want to keep pushing our tempo. We're in a spot where we can actually potentially play for this Azir line and a really, really much stronger board compared to 6 Void Kai'Sa, which it's a very low cap. If we hit this Void Emblem eventually, then yeah, we should stick with the Kai'Sa. Even if the cap is low, Baron will help us out and we'll be fine. But because, again, Ginsu Shift Kai'Sa does very, very little damage, strong in the mid game, falls off in terms of tempo, and definitely falls off in the late game. Not the best way to cap out your board, especially when you're thinking about the long-term end goal of the game. Again, Azir is the end goal here, right? We do naturally Azir here, which is really, really nice. So we do have that one Azir that's ready. But again, we're still sitting on the 6 Void board because it's our strongest board. We do also natural the Yasuo as well. So you might be really thinking, like, is this really not a Kai'Sa game? No, it's not. Again, when you are in a position where you have a lot of HP, a lot of tempo, in a position to really win out the game, like Robin Songs is in here, he's in a position to play for first. So he wants to play for a board that will net him that first. So that is what's really, really solid about his fundamentals here. Now notice, 3-5. 3-5, we're sitting on 41 gold here. We know we want to play Azir. You know something? Let me rewind it. Did you notice it? Start at 3-5. Ready? Start at 3-5. I'll play it at regular speed. You notice anything?
I don't even mind rolling here.
Do you notice anything?
Alright, never mind. I don't mind.
2 things. 1, I'm gonna rewind it one more time. Look at the right hand side. Look at the right hand side real quick. Okay, look at the right hand side. Round starts. Level 7 on the right hand. Milk level 7. Humbug level 7. Kenya level 7. Chris Tofu level 7. Everybody is hitting level 7 on this turn and rolling down, trying to hit their units, trying to hit their forecasts. We want to play Azir. We know it's a contested line, but we're not trying to contest with them. And instead, we're sitting on our board instead because we know we're sitting on a strong board. There's no reason to roll. Yeah, we want to cap out with Azir, but there's no reason to. Because right now, our board is strong enough. It's competitive for stage 3-5. This is a very strong 3-5 board. We know that it's a strong board. So why would we ever try to roll contest for the units here? A lot of players in the current meta are trying to roll down here because they're not thinking. They're tunnel visioning too hard on these comps. Thinking, I have to play Azir. I have to play Ionia Kai'Sa. No, you don't. And in fact, you can just play a strong board during stage 3 and then reevaluate later. We're 40 gold level 7. Is it really better for us to be rolling on level 7 here, trying to find these Azirs, trying to find the Swains or whatever with this earlier priority compared to everybody else? Look, one guy, we already scouted. One guy's already playing Azir. Really bad. We're rolling a little bit here because we're sitting on a lot of pairs. But, like, quite honestly, we're in a crazy spot. Like, look at our bench, by the way. We know we're playing Azir. We know we're playing Azir. We're sitting on a Nasus and an Azir that we happen to natural, which is really nice. But again, 2 people in the lobby are thinking about playing Azir. It's going to be really, really hard. You're thinking, oh, they're going to take out all the units. What are we going to do? Right? Well, it's simple, really. When you're contested, either we pivot or wait for people to die, or we can go level 8 and then look for the units because our odds are much, much higher to find the units. And because, again, take into consideration of the realm. We know we're getting a lot of money from the collective vaults, and we know we were able to preserve our 10 streak, so we're having a lot of money. So instead of rolling down at 40 gold to level 7, desperately trying to find the Azirs or whatever, we're chilling. We're chilling. 4-1. 4-1 hits. Someone hits Kai'Sa 2. Jarvan 2. Akshan 2. Shen 2. Azir 2. Swain 2. People are hitting all our units, right? Isn't this game fucked? Aren't we just going fast 8th? Because all our units are taken out. Look, this guy's playing the Azir line. He is sitting on a duplicator. He has Talia 2, Cassante, the Nasus, the Swain 2. This guy's also Azir. Azir 2, Swain 2, Akshan 2. Like, how do we fucking ever hit our units? And again, it's because you guys, like, nowadays people are lacking in the fundamentals so bad. We're 2-way contested for this Azir line, but we're okay. We're okay because we have a lot of money. We didn't donkey roll on 7 trying to play the casino. No, we're just gonna keep pushing our tempo and keep playing our lead. Yes, we're still sitting on a 6 void board. Yes, this 6 void board sucks. Yes, stage 4 6 void starts falling off pretty hard off a cliff, right? But we're fine. we're fine. And here, again, because we know it's a collective vaults, we're going to get another 12 gold pump out of our augment here. It's going to be a lot of money to play with. We can go level 8 and then reevaluate, okay? And that's what we're going to do here. So here, 4-2, real quick on the augments here. Well-earned comforts, bruiser crest, and social distancing. Social distancing is really, really great in general. Just really strong augment. I believe you definitely re-roll on the well-earned comforts here just to check. Gifts from the Fallen. I mean, Gifts from the Fallen. It's Gifts from the Fallen. Gifts from the Fallen right now on 4-2 is a 4.2. Really strong compared to social distancing 4.35. Both are very strong augments, but in general you do want the Lux next to the Azir, so social distancing is actually always worse in this scenario. Even if the stats were slightly better, you'd probably still take gifts anyways. And then he just takes the gifts and we're chilling. So here, as we can see here, takes the augment, immediately pushes level 8, and then we start rolling. And yes, Azirs are taken out of the pool. Yes, some Nasus are taken out of the pool. But guess what? Even though one guy has an Azir too, and the other guy is still sitting on an Azir board, the other guy is still sitting on 1-starred units. He's not sitting on 2-starred units. So even though like the units are taken out with like 3s and 4s, like there's a decent amount, like 3 or 4 is just taken out at this point, right? Couple of Nasus, couple of Azir or J4s or whatever, it's fine. We're gonna start rolling here. Now, what are we gonna look for? This is important because what is the hardest thing about pivoting your board? I want you to think about it. What is the hardest thing about pivoting your board? Because when you pivot your board, people have this expectation that you have the hardest part, or rather the assumption is that the hardest part about pivoting your board is that you need to be able to switch out all your units very quick. It's a high APM check. That is not the hardest part about pivoting your board. The hardest part about pivoting your board is making sure your board strength doesn't go down. The whole point of pivoting your board is to spike the tempo of your board, spike the power of your board. If your board is not spiking when you pivot, why did you pivot? There's no point. You're just playing a weaker board now and you're just going to lose more HP. It doesn't make any sense. So here, the hardest and trickiest part about Robin's spot, and this is what really separates him from a lot of like just high elo players in general, he knows this. He knows this strong basic fundamental, and not only does he know it, he really practices it really, really well, where he's going, hey, I want to play Azir. I know my cap can be really, really high this game, but in order to hit that cap, I cannot pivot into a weaker board. So he's not going to start selling off the units on his board just yet. He's going to keep trying to find the units first, make sure the tempo spikes, and then he'll eventually pivot into the full Azir board. So as we can see here, he's starting his roll down here. He already hits the Azir pair here. Really, really great. He's, again, thinking constantly, like, what is stronger? What is weaker, right? Hits the Garens as well. Finds another Vel'Koz pair. Like, it's really awkward. Like, things don't really make sense. But he's going to keep rolling. Finds a Jarvan. Jarvan is definitely stronger than the Aurelia too. Starts selling off the Void units a little bit. Notice how he pauses here. By the way, notice how he pauses here. This is so good. He pauses here because he knows, like, 13 seconds left on the clock. He knows that he can slam the items onto the Azir here. He is stronger. He dropped from 6 Void to 3 Void, but this board is stronger because he's a 3-item Azir with 3 Shurima with 3 strategists. Already in a lot better spot here, but he decides to keep rolling down here because he just wants to see if he can spike it a little bit more. And again, notice how he doesn't sell off the Void units in the front line. He's really making sure and practicing that, hey, is my board stronger? Is my board stronger? And asking himself every single time during the pivot. I know I'm pausing the video constantly during this pivot, but we have to point this out because a lot of you guys are not thinking this quickly. This is an incredible thought process to go through within just 30 seconds. Or I guess 45 seconds for the augments, right? Anyways, Nasus in the shop. Really great stuff. Keeps rolling. Finds the Jarvan pair. Keeps rolling. Keeps rolling. Keeps looking. Hits the Swain. Keeps rolling. 7 seconds left on the clock. Sits at 20. Puts in the Rise because he thinks it's a bit stronger. Finds the Cassante. Switches over the Talia. Really great stuff here because Cassante is better than Talia 1. Good stuff. Here, this is our board. We have the Cho'Gath 2. We have the Bastion pair in the front line. 3 strategists. We have the... I don't think we have an Invoker, but we do have a Rise. Which Rise in general is a very good flex unit. Unfortunately... he actually might have been stronger here if he just played double Jarvan instead of the Rise. But I mean, overall, actually, he probably was even stronger if he put in the Swain over this Rise, just because Zon Rise is very weak. But very good stuff. Very good stuff. A very strong pivot. And again, we're talking about this. We get to pause video and talk and think about it, right? But this guy did that all. Augment choice, pivot, making sure, constantly reevaluating his board, reassessing the board strength. It did all of it near perfect in 45 seconds. That's the most important part. And again, you might be thinking it's an APM check, whether or not, like, whether he did that or not, like, it's, like, great or not, or, like, it's bad or whatever. He's not weaker, though. He's sitting on a stronger board overall. He knows his Rise is a piece of shit, but I mean, in general, like, everybody has a serious thing, like, Rise is decent, but right? And anyways, sitting on 20 gold here, we're going to keep rolling. Why do we keep rolling on the spot? We're sitting on Garen pair, we're sitting on the Swain pair, we're sitting on the Azir pair, we're sitting on the J4 pair. We still have the Cassian we can sell, we still have the Cho'Gath we can sell, we still have a lot of money that we can use. We're sitting on the Teemo pair. We have a lot of things that we can still hit here. It's very, very efficient for us to keep rolling from the spot, so that's what we're going to do. Keep rolling, hits the Garen 2 here, switch it out for the Cassian, it's probably better than Bastions. Here, finds the Lux, really great stuff. Switch out the Cho'Gath, really good. Keep getting the pivot down. We're sitting on a lot of pairs. I think we're sitting on 4 or 5 pairs at this point. Now it's 5 pairs. Azir 2, really great, finds it. Even though it's congested, yes, it's congested, but his rolls have been efficient this whole time. His rolls have been efficient this whole time, and notice how he doesn't zero out. He doesn't zero out here, and it's so, so good. Here he hits the Talia 2 here, really, really great. And then he was trying to sit on 10, but he's going to probably sell the Cassante here unless he wins.
Not bad, not bad.
Really, really great. And yes, we finally got the pivot off. And yes, if we look at our board strength compared to the guy across from us, right? Both players Azir players. But we were able to pivot into our board with very relative little ease and save so much HP. This is this Chris Tofu guy. I believe it looks from the looks of it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Azir, 5 Shurima, right? He's playing 5 Shurima, like an Azir variation, right? Which is fine, still a strong board. But instead, look at his HP compared to us. We're 78 to 37. Because we kept playing our strongest board and we flexed into the line rather than trying to think we have to hit this line no matter what at level 7. Also, even though we're both like no money at this point, we're still in a better spot. We're in a much better spot. Because even though our board strengths are relatively about the same in strength, we have so much more HP that eventually this guy's going to bleed out and we're going to sit on top with like more of our units back into the pool that we'll be able to hit later if it ever comes to that. So here, as we can see during the fight, it's very likely that we may lose. We actually may win. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think 5 Stream is just not very good in general. And Strategist is just, 4 Strategist is too strong. So we actually win out here. So Chris Tofu, even though, yes, he was contesting us first, hitting the units first, it did not matter. It did not matter. We were still able to go and beat him out because we kept playing our strongest board. We kept playing our tempo, kept playing our board spikes, kept playing to play our strongest board. This is what's so fundamentally different from players like Robinsons, players like This Soap, players like Soju and whoever, Prestivan and fucking Setsuko, like whoever. Like these players know time and time again, they're constantly thinking and reevaluating in high speeds, high times. Is this stronger? Is my board stronger? And you need to be asking yourself that every single time. Don't rush the pivot. Don't rush the board. Because at the end of the day, if you're pivoting into a weaker board because you know that your end cap is stronger, even though the pivot made you significantly weaker, which is what a lot of you guys are doing at level 7, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You're going to bleed out. And then you're going to blame the game on it being like this casino game. And like, that's just your fault. I'm sorry, it's just your fault. Like, there's no better way to put it. There's no other easy way to phrase it. Like, this is why I'm so frustrated when people call it like a level 7 casino meta. And again, I understand that the meta's narrow, right? In a perfect world, in a balanced world, you stay on that Kaisa board, right? Maybe you don't. Maybe because the Ginsu and the Shiv, it's a little awkward, but maybe you just play for high tempo and look for that Belvet at level 8 and hopefully with the Void Crest. But again, we knew that we weren't going to hit that Void Crest, so we needed to pivot out anyways. 6 Void is not competitive. 8 Void is, but 6 is not. So we knew we were going to have to pivot out anyways, and it's executed so well here. Just to give you an idea here, again, Chris Tofu, 24 HP. We're sitting at 60. This is one of the Azir players who we know for a fact is just going to like bleed out and die eventually, and then we'll be able to hit our upgrades anyways. And we're just chilling and we're just econing here now, right? Here, crazy fucking shot. This is a high roll. I can't lie, it's a high roll. He hits the Nasus 2, the Teemo 2. I mean, that's just a high roll. So, now we're sitting on Jarvan 2, or Jarvan pair rather, and we're sitting on Lux 1. Do we roll for the Jarvan 2 and the Lux 1? No! Of course not! Because our board is strong. Our board is so fucking strong now. We pivoted into a stronger out, and we knew that as long as we just kept playing for our tempo and we kept playing for our pivot, that we would eventually be able to cap out with a very, very strong board, and that strong board being the Azir Lux board. And you might notice that whenever you go to like a pro player's history and a pro player's match history, you might notice like, oh, Azir Lux, oh, Ayane challenges. These are the only 2 comps in the meta. No. And in fact, they are the highest cap comps. At least before you go level 9, you just take a bunch of legendaries, right? Before the, the level 5, the legendary soup board, right? Bill Gates, whatever you want to call it. They pivot into these strong lines. You play HP preservation first, pivot into your board later, because those people who are trying to play these strong boards will either eventually die off, or maybe you'll be able to keep holding units eventually, like Robin did here, and slowly be able to fix it into the pivot. It took 2 rounds, but that's fine. That's fine. So even though this was we played Void for the first 2 rounds, 2 stages of this game, you would not be able to tell that from the match history. So, I know there's people out there who like look at the match history and they're just like, oh, it's just a Azir Lux every single time. Oh, it's just fucking Ionia Kalista every single time, or whatever the fuck it is, right? Yeah, but that's because they're pivoting into it end game. Like this is like 99%, 90% of games. This is your pivot into the end game, right? And instead here, we're saying that that's not going to be the case because, it is the case. But in this scenario specifically, Robin's actually going to not only be able to go level 9, but eventually start thinking about, okay, how do I not only slowly teching out of Azir, but slowly teching into an even stronger board? How do we start capping out our board, right? Because again, even though we're sitting on the Lux, was it Lux 1? Lux 1, Jarvan 1, like, we have a lot of potential to just cap out and win out the game here, right? As you can see, a really good discipline doesn't push to level 9 immediately because we know we want to roll a little bit on level 9. As we see, Christofu's out of he went 7th. He was playing Azir, he went 7th. What? Even though he had Azir 2 and he had like 5 Shurima? Like, what? Really? Yeah, of course. Because he's not playing tempo. He's just like, I'm sorry, playing like a little bit of a bozo. I mean, I don't know. We can't see his perspective, but like, he clearly just lost because he just didn't have the HP lead in the beginning. Which again, you could argue that like, hey, like Robin like high rolled his early game into Void and then the pivot into whatever. I mean, I guess, but I feel like that's a very narrow way of viewing the game, right? This pivot was almost guaranteed because we knew that eventually at a certain point we may have been stuck rolling at 8 this game, right? Instead of going level 9. But we would have still found our units because the other Azir players, they would have died off first. That just would have been it. So here, we got a really, really big dub here. Again, really big dub. Able to preserve our HP. 30, 22, 12. It's a very close lobby. And actually, this is a crazy lobby. We got Milk. We got Respectful Humble, which is actually Setsuko. And we have Robin. Really strong lobby. Here, as we can see, we're 56 gold. We're sitting at level 8, 60 now, and we're just going level 9 here. We make the Shen 2 just to make Shen 2 because Shen 2 is a strong unit. And then we're just rolling, looking for legendaries, finding ways to cap out our board, trying to find that Lux 2, trying to find, other units as well. You could even make the argument that you could try to play like you notice he might have seen like a lot of Aries. You could maybe make the argument that instead of just trying to play around this Lux 2, you're tunnel visioning a little bit here with the comp. You could try to play around an Ari 2 instead, which I don't know if RE2 is better than Lux 2, especially just because of the interaction between the MR Shred with Lux's ult and an RE2. But, I mean, an RE would not have Ionia in this scenario, right? But RE2 is RE2. Plus the fact that, like, I mean, is Ionia really that important? I don't know. I think she just gets, like, a little extra mana regen, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. But, like, would you really play Lux 2 over RE2? Probably not. I mean, maybe. Maybe Lux is Lux is a broken unit. Like, let's be honest, Lux is a broken unit. I'm trying to see if I can find the item description for Ari real quick, but I believe the game's actually going to end really, really soon, so I'm a little worried about time. But here, as we can see, top 2, Setsuko goes into last. Yeah, the Ionia bonus on Ari is just a little extra mana regen. Plus 3 per second is actually a lot, but it's like, that's like what, like 15 per every 5? It's basically Shojin. But I mean, might as well just stick with what we know. But, I mean, again, if the game was perfectly balanced, RE2 would always be better than this Lux 2, I would assume. But again, the synergy with Lux. By the way, oh my goodness. Hold on. We're going to rewind this a little bit. Hate me if you want. We know he's losing the fight here. But this positioning, by the way. Why is this good? Why is this positioning any good? You might be going like, ooh, like Lux is like over here. Like, what is it? Like, what? Like, where's the MR shred? Like, I thought these guys are supposed to be joined together here. There is too much AoE here. Too much. We have the J4, we have the fucking, whatchamacallit, this dude, the Hasagi, like, fucking, and a Heimer, like, stun, AoE stun, AoE stun, AoE stun, and slash, like, just deletes backlines, right? So, positioning here, right? Giving up a little bit of that extra MR shred, but, that definitely does help us try to win out the fights here. Sure, yeah, he lost the fight anyways. It didn't fucking matter. Well, no, it didn't matter. Because if he didn't position in this way, actually, he won the fight. Fucking plot twist, right? But, I mean, that is a position diff. That's a position diff. Because if he clumps, like, the Azir and the Lux adjacent to each other, sure, a little extra bonus damage, but then he's just going to get CC AoE stun for, like, the whole fight duration. He's going to lose the fight. Really, really, really great stuff here. Again, last fight, Milk versus Robin songs. Let's just, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just watch it real time. Let's just watch it real time. I mean, these guys are both playing. Yeah, they're both playing. Oh, they're playing the fucking. Shut up. Shut up. It's gonna be an interesting fight. It's gonna be an interesting fight. These are the top 2 meta comps fighting against each other. In the end, even the augments are very similar. He actually took social distancing. Milk did instead of the gifts from the fallen, like Robin did. But
How's that even possible?
I'm pretty sure gifts is just better in this scenario because even though social distancing is usually pretty good, gifts from the fallen, all of those stacks are going onto the Azir, just carries out the fight. So that's just how it is. He dies of Aatrox, Milk goes second, and Robin wins out the lobby. I hope you guys learned something. Take care and happy climbing.